I'm going to have to get a new set of headphones.
Good thing you finished that sentence quick. I have to get a new set of headphones.
Golf clubs. Could be anything. Welcome in. Because, on the in-ear headphones, which we're doing now because of TV, by we, I mean me, the Royal We, Kyle, they have the little rubbery thing on the ear part, right?
Sure. Yep.
Well, the rubbery thing is falling out of this ear, so it's just metal on ear now.
Oh, uncomfortable.
I could handle that, though, but these don't have... It's very tinny. There's not a lot of bass. And
you need to find some, nice ones.
Yeah. I think I'm going to need to go somewhere. I order everything online. Mm-hmm. This is one of those times I got to go somewhere and try it, but where can you go and try
in-ear headphones? Nowhere.
Where would you want to? Unless they have little... Do they have little in-ear headphone condoms? I don't know what you call it. To put on the out... Because I don't want somebody else's earwax in my ear. That's
gross.
Totally disgusting. I don't like it when people use my over-the-ear headphones, and therefore they don't. Well, I'll have guests in. I'm not giving up my head. Go away. Sorry. Bring your own headphones, guy. Welcome into the drive. This is a weird 3 days, much like last week, but this is almost weirder. At least last Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it was kind of understood, hey, we're working because that's what we do, because we're hard workers.
Exactly.
But these aren't normal shows because we're between Christmas and New Year's. Mm-hmm. Now the holidays are kind of officially over, which makes today kind of sad because what do we have? We have President's Day, Dr. King Day. We have Memorial Day, 4th of July, right? Easter's on a Sunday. What am I missing? I'm sure I'm missing some other holiday, but I think those are the only ones that, most people get off. This is it. Mm-hmm. And part of what upsets me about today is that I already know you only get a precious few months, Kyle, of being calm, because now today is really the very first. The seed inside of me is beginning to sprout. Gross. But it just sprouted the tiniest little sprout. Speaking of our sponsors, of summertime,
just the tip.
It just started. Football, the regular season ended. The holidays are over. Now, there's still a whole month of football left. There's still 3-4 months of basketball left. But we have now started. It's like when the equinox happens, right? And that means every day when the winter equinox happens, every day after that is going to be longer until eventually it's 108 degrees. The days last forever. There's nothing to talk about, blah, blah, blah. I also operate on the assumption that I always assume everybody's going to forget in June and July what we say all winter long when we're trying to hey, we got a great show for you today. Let me tell you, the Giants did this and the A's did that. We're going to talk to this guy. And you have to try to make the show sound fun.
Right.
But during the winter when it's still a ways away, we can just crap on summertime radio all day long. Make no mistake, we're going to be lying to you all summer about how much stuff there is to talk about. You got free agency, summer league,
training camp.
Mm-hmm. Which training camp is when the tiniest little sprout begins to grow from the seed of winter. See, This is the winter equivalent of summer's training camp is today. So
sure.
This all. I'm just laying my brain bare. So I think what I'm trying to say is I'm really honestly curious who's listening today. I would like for you at 441140 and on the phone lines at 1-800-920-1140, now that Kyle has unlocked them, I would like for you to just simply check in. And you know the drill: name, age group, where you're calling from. I just want to know if are we here to perform today for a mass audience, like we weren't sure about it last week, and then the day after the Laker game we got the numbers and oh my God, right? There were a lot of people listening. And by Laker game, I mean Kings-Lakers game. Let's be honest.
The one they won.
Or is today, the one they won. Or is today just really a day for you and I, Kyle, and Eunice? Is it just a day for us to do what we want? We have a full rundown today.
There's more on the rundown than I was expecting.
Yeah, a lot of stuff has happened. And this isn't even I could have gone a lot deeper on this rundown.
Can I just tell you real quick?
Yeah.
I am super proud of you.
For?
College football is on here twice.
Yeah.
And I think that's great.
Is that because you expected I would put more in there and I kept it low, or that it's on there and...
Oh, I was expecting 0. I think it's absolutely worth talking about.
Okay.
And I thought for sure you were going to skip it.
I love
But you're not.
No, I love college football.
I know,
it's tough when
which is why I want to talk about it more.
Guys are out, but... Oh, look, we're getting some people. Gonzo from Stockton, Tim the Sensitive
I bet
Age
Justin
fan.
from Stockton's checking in.
Gotta be. Where's Sal? Sal's got to be somewhere. Antonio, Kyle from Ripon, home of the Ripon Chiefs.
Kyle from the room next door.
I'm glad that we have a show at 6 a.m. and not 12 p.m., by the way. It's giving me about 12. No, not 12. It's giving me about 8 hours to forgive you. And we'll get into that later. Very disappointing performance from you last night, Kyle Madsen. Not going to lie. Coming back from vacation and everything. Coming right into, excited about coming back, seeing all my friends, seeing you.
Wait.
What?
Say that again?
And then you did what you did last night.
I'm very well educated in Daytonomics. Like it just happened to my favorite team like a week ago.
I get that, but and again, I want to get into this later, but it would be like if I regularly ate with you at your parents' house. You invited me over. We were old school friends. And your mom wasn't a good cook. And me sitting down, putting my napkin in my lap and be like, well, time for my stomach to start hurting.
Have you ever gone over a friend's house to eat, but the food just ain't no good?
I feel like you're dropping a lyric on me.
Yeah, it's from Rapper's Delight. You ever gone over a friend's house to eat, but the food just ain't no good? Something, and the chicken tastes like wood.
That's right.
So here's what I'm getting. Here's the signals I'm getting from you. I say, hey, man, I think if I had last night been like, the Kings are fine, they're going to win this game, it would have been my fault. Yeah, it would have been my fault.
Yeah, you would have jinxed them.
Right. But when I go, dude, the Blazers are not going to score 7 points in a fourth quarter because Damian Lillard is incredible.
I feel like that's not what you said.
I said Dame time.
That's what you said. Dame time. Points at watch.
Aggressively.
Dame time. How about neither?
Oh, just don't. Oh,
no,
God.
I'm not saying
okay.
don't comment.
Okay.
I'm not saying don't comment. I'm saying be aware of the gods.
Sure.
No.
Right. So I'm either jinxing it.
Well, you jinxed it either way. Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is that here's what is going to bother me, depending on the road you decide to go down with this, is that all these rules. Don't act ignorant to the rules of the jinx and the gods, because you know them. You know them well. Is all I'm saying. Don't come. Well, I mean, if I say that, then you know what you're doing.
But
you know what you're doing, Kyle. Oh, hey, we got a break.
Yeah, we do.
Hey, we should start doing those movies on podcast.
Oh, yeah, good idea. Cool. No, I would like to get the listeners involved because we're going to turn my movie watching thing, now that football season's over, we're going to turn the Kyle catches up on classic movies that he's never seen. We're going to turn that into a podcast where we're going to have our on-air discussion about it, but we're going to have it in a more extended format, in a more organized format. And we need to figure out what order we're doing these movies in. And I think we're going to try and get some segment ideas or maybe like a Q&A type of thing going with listeners. But I think step one is going to be finding out what movies to watch and in what order.
Yeah, we can do a little bit of this off the air, but I think we can help the listeners out really by let's make this a website thing. Let's go ahead and post all the movies on the list. Let's let people and put them in.
Yeah, we'll write a blog,
and they can vote on them.
Yeah,
and then we'll just do that. The ones that get the we'll release it every week or however long we do it. The ones that get the most votes, that's what we watch, and blah blah blah. All right, we'll take a break. Some guy says our voices are still trailing off in 2019. I don't know what that means, but I think it's
his face is still trailing off in 2019.
Got him. Back with Morning Brew on the Drive. We get started on a Wednesday, live and in person. Sports 1140 KHTK.
Inbound foul, he had Healed, but he missed him. They go inside to Bielitsa. His shot attempt was deflected. I think Nurkic got a hand on that. 20 seconds to go. Blazers move it ahead methodically. Lillard now drives, finds the seam, got the layup. This game is tied. 15.5 seconds to go. Portland's come from 9 down in the last minutes to tie it at 103. The Kings are not taking that timeout. They're going to go for the win. 6 seconds, 5 seconds. Fox on the right wing. High screen Bielitsa. Fox stutter step, pull up straightaway, 21-footer, heel of the rim and out. And for the first time this season, the Sacramento Kings are going to go to overtime.
And they would win in overtime. Sacramento Kings, big winners last night. Isn't that how we want it to go, guys? That's how I wanted it to go. I can't get my phone charger to work. What's going on here? Thing won't plug in, or it plugs in, but it doesn't try. Screw it.
I got your back.
No, that's fine. I got enough charge. I don't know what it is, but I don't care. I don't want to talk about the game, but that is our job. Kings fall 113-108. Hey, I see what Eunice is doing on these lower thirds, and she's doing exactly what we write. So I have a formatic question for you, Kyle, since you used to do these professionally. So she has on the lowdown coming up noon to 3 today. On the rundown, I will write, because most times we'll fill in the rundown before the Kings game ends. So when we make notes for the lower thirds, which are the graphics you see at KHTK.com. Thank you, Kyle. That was very nice of you. Kyle's bringing in my phone charger didn't work. I woke up this morning to a dead. It does work. Thank you. I'm at 58%. I woke up this morning to a dead phone. There's nothing. Well, there are plenty of things worse, but not a lot worse when you wake up and your phone's dead because my charger didn't work properly. You're at 69%. Nice. You said that off the air too, didn't you?
Yeah.
So we'll write in like Kings X, Portland X, because we don't know what the final score is, obviously. So what she has up right now is Kings 108, Portland 113, which is how we wrote it. And she's doing it. This is not a Eunice thing. She's doing it exactly as we wrote it. But my question is, doesn't that bothers me? Shouldn't it be? It should be the winning team first.
Okay, that's actually really funny you bring that up, because when I was looking at the rundown today, because it just said Kings X, Blazers X.
Right.
So I just filled in the X's with the score and didn't flip it around, because I thought maybe you were doing a thing where you were like, I want the Kings the top. No, it's winning team, losing.
Winning team, losing team. So from now on, let's
we'll do that.
But again, I want to stress, Eunice did nothing wrong. She's doing exactly how we wrote it.
Right.
But I'm just always going to write it with the assumption that the Kings are going to win, which they didn't. And they're now
wait.
No, that's not a James.
So it's your fault.
No, that's not a James.
You wrote the King.
I'm thinking positive.
Ooh.
That's different. You know it's different. No, come on. From the 916, some dude was going, Dame time, sitting behind me. Was supposedly a Kings fan. It was so annoying. Well, I didn't know you were at the game last night, Kyle.
No, because I'm not a Kings fan. Boom, boom.
Mm-hmm. Also, we got to move on here. More on this. At 6:30. Appreciate all. God, did you see the text line? Everyone's checking in. No, Anthony, James, and Stockton, Enrique. Some guy wants to know if you got invited over for the UFC fight. Of course he did. Ben in Reading.
I did not, but I watched.
You watched yourself get invited?
Yep.
Whoa, that's really strange. Who's this on the phone lines? Who am I talking to? I'm talking.
Hung up on.
Whoa, and then that was good. Hey. Remember the beginning of Major League? The movie Major League. They said you can tell how a season's going to go by the way the first at-bat happens, and it was an excuse me bunt single. You can tell how the year's going to go by the way the first caller comes in. And I went to an unscreened phone call that had been sitting there. It was Robert something, and he swore, and that was the only thing we heard, and Kyle dumped it. Those of you on the app, yes, you got to hear it. Congratulations. Kyle, that's how it's going to go this year, buddy.
Excited for that.
I think the word he said kind of describes it, so get ready for a great 2019.
He's calling back.
Is he calling back? Yeah, put him on a hold. I want to see what happened. I want to see if that was an accident or not. Number 2.
Full clap. Fires. Complete. Touchdown. He's got Aguilar.
Yeah, he does. That's Nick Foles. Nick Foles had Nelson Aguilar. Nick Foles and Nelson Aguilar are in the playoffs. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not in the playoffs. The Baltimore Ravens are, and on and on and on. What does that mean? That means the playoffs are set in the NFL. It'll all start this week with this weekend, I should say, at 1:35 on Saturday when the Colts visit Houston to take on the Texans in a rematch of the Frank Reich game. What did he say? What did Robert say?
So I picked up the phone. I was like, what the heck?
Right?
Like, you can't just... And he was like, hey, just wanted to let you know that this is my favorite show. Carmichael, Dave, and Kyle, their interplay is great. I wake up early. I'm retired.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
So is he on hold?
Yeah, he's on hold.
All right, so...
hey, don't go to him.
The NFL...
It's going to surprise him.
The NFL playoffs... The NFL playoffs start this weekend. That was the point of the whole thing. 1:35, and we'll talk about that.
Excited for the NFL playoff slate on Wild Card Weekend. It's going to be really fun. That's my take.
That's a good take, Kyle. Number 3.
That's my new tweet.
ETN, the running back behind Lawrence and to his right-hand side. And they'll give it to Travis, and he busts it up the middle. 40 at the 30. He's at the 25, 20. Down the sideline he goes, and into the end zone. Touchdown. Bang goes Travis Etienne. Scores from 62.
Hey, Kyle, college football national championship's about to happen. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's Clemson versus Alabama. 3rd time in 4 years, Dave. Excited for that one. That's just our new thing.
We're gonna have to get a ruling on this too. We got to take a break because I'm writing in our that this is Clemson Alabama 4.
Oh, see again. Talk to Eunice this morning. I think it's 3.
And we'll talk about why there's a difference between 3 and 4. And I understand where you're coming from, and well, hopefully you understand where I'm coming from. It's not too intellectually, sports. I think it's 4. I'll absolutely list arguments for 3, though. Yeah. We'll take a break. When we come back, Kings Blazers. And if social media has anything to say about it, you guys have a lot to say. So we'll see if that turns into, if Twitter fingers turn into texter fingers. We'll take a break. Hey, Drake, it's The Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK.
This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. I'm very creatively figuring out a way with Eunice to announce our giveaway for today. If you're watching on KHTK.com, you probably got a quick glimpse of that. The Sacramento Kings, this is Kyle Madsen, by the way, with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Kings lost to the Blazers last night, 113-108 in overtime. The Kings trailed by as many as 14. They led by as many as 9 with 3 minutes to play, but Portland wound up finishing the game on a 21-7 run through the final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter and overtime to come away with the victory. The Kings are off tonight. They welcome in the West-leading Nuggets tomorrow. And in the New Year's Day bowl games, we'll just get to the big ones here. Washington made things interesting in the Rose Bowl, but Ohio State held on for a 28-23 win after jumping out to a 28-3 lead in that one. And Texas put themselves back on the college football map with a 28-21 victory over a number 5 Georgia team that many people thought should be in the college football playoff. That was in the Sugar Bowl. It's 6:31. Time to plan your football playoff party treats. Start at your local Sprouts Farmers Market and Sprouts.com. Those are your top stories. Now back to The Drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Here we go. The Drive continues now.
To the free throw line.
played 53 minutes and shot 12 free throws, so it's unacceptable for us.
Defensively, were you pretty good with what you guys were able to do against Dame up until that closing moments of the fourth?
Definitely. I mean, he started making tough shots. I think we guarded, pretty well the whole game. And we just, couldn't get shots to fall, in crucial times.
What is the last 2 games you guys have struggled to put teams away in the final 5 minutes, 3 minutes?
We just got to execute at the end of the game. We had shots, we had makeable shots, and we just didn't make them. And they made the plays that they need to. Like I said, Dame, hitting fadeaways from the corner. It's a tough shot, but he makes those.
That's De'Aaron Fox post-game. Kings lose 113-108 in overtime. It was the Kings' first overtime game of the year, so naturally they are 0-1. That makes sense. Outscored the Blazers 53-39 in the second half, which is good. They were outscored 10-5 in overtime. A lot of people are going to be talking about this today. So listen, Twitter and social media was even more of a mess. Kings Twitter sometimes, man. And please realize when I say Kings Twitter and with this Dane, I'm talking about the 10 to 20% of people out there that just lose their minds. What was an absolute rat hole. Here's what they're talking about, and here's what we can talk about today at 1-800-920-1140 and on the text line at 44-1140. They were talking about Willie Cauley-Stein, 2 of 14 in 33 minutes, 5 points, 11 rebounds, 0 blocks. They were talking about De'Aaron Fox being 6 of 19 and missing the shot in the end of regulation and not really running an active offense in the last 3 minutes of the game. They were talking about Harry Giles. That's a big subject today. 6 points, 7 boards, 1 steal, 1 block, 0 fouls in just 13 minutes. That is a major topic today. And Jusuf Nurkic, 24 points, 23 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 steals, 5 blocks. That's flat out one of the best lines that's been put up by anybody this year.
That is an emphatic 5x5 line.
It really is.
Like, I feel like I've seen some 5x. I think Nick Batum had one, but it was like 11 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, 5 blocks.
I'm sure that there is a stat out there that does this already, but I would like to see something that's weighted, for example, on for every point that is scored in the NBA, this many blocks happens, this many assists, this many steals, so that all those categories are weighted and then rewarded with the inverse amount of points for each one. So, for example, if there are 4 times as many points scored than blocks in the NBA, then for every block you get 4 points. For every point scored, you get 1 point. For every steal, you get 3 points. And totaling up into a game score. I'm sure something like that exists. Sure. Because I don't know that Nurkic line isn't a top 10, if not top 5 line this year. If you put it all together.
I don't know how it isn't like top 1.
Yeah. 24 and 23. Okay. Well,
like that by itself is a great game.
But Anthony Davis, we've seen that a couple, around there.
Sure.
23 rebounds.
Tossing the 7 assists, though.
7 assists, 5 blocks, 5 steals.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Did we get how many times that line's been put up? Because I can look that up real quick. If we
No, I'd love to.
I'm on it.
I would love to see. I would love to see in NBA history how many times a line of at least 24, 23, 7, 5, and 5. Plus, you have a big man that shot 14 and 16 from the free throw line. What were you going to say?
Just before, Basketball Reference only goes back like X amount of years. I'm sure Wilt Chamberlain did that like a bunch of times.
Probably, but he was playing against dudes that worked at Sears. Let's talk real numbers here. That's a tough loss. Coach Yeager getting a lot of heat. And this is where it gets tough for pulling Giles out and reinserting. The thing was pulling Giles out and reinserting Willie Cauley-Stein. What I wonder if a lot of people missed was, I don't know if it's the first time I've seen it this year, but I haven't seen it too much. Giles was playing the 4. Giles wasn't playing the 5. Giles was playing the 4. That was very interesting. Yeah. So, Willie getting a lot of heat, probably the most heat out of anyone, and I completely get it. And listen, I don't want to jump on it. In fact, somebody got on me last night for defending Willie Cauley-Stein all year, which I still don't understand. I'm the guy if anything, when it comes to Willie Cauley-Stein, I've been killed by people by consistently saying I don't think he'll be here next year.
Real quick before I give my smoking hot take on that, one other player in the Basketball Reference database, this goes back to 1946-47. One other player has ever put up the line of at least what Jusuf Nurkic did last night?
At least 24 points, 23 boards, 7 assists, 5 steals, 5 blocks.
And it happened twice. This player did it twice, both in the 1975-76 season.
Oh, jeez.
It's not like that. It's arguably the best player of all time.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Yeah.
Wow.
And here's the caveat though. They didn't record steals. So I don't know how many steals he had.
I'll bet you he didn't have 5.
Yeah. So he did what Jusuf Nurkic did twice in a 3-month span.
And that's if we assume he had 5 or more steals.
Right.
I'll bet you he didn't. I bet he did not. I'll bet you Kareem did not have 5 or more steals in those games.
What if some basketball researchers listening? He's actually had 16 between the two games.
They didn't record steals back then, huh?
No.
So there's no way of knowing. Someone's like, he actually had 14. I was at the game. Okay, so Jusuf Nurkic puts up a historical line last night.
So here's my thing with Willie, and I saw this take a lot last night on the internet was like, why leave him out there if he's struggling?
Sure.
And it's because that's how basketball works.
It is.
You don't just go, oh, this guy's having a bad night. He's only going to play 8 minutes. Willie is a starter. He's going to get starter minutes. And that's how it goes. Sometimes the players don't play their best. And if every time a player struggles, the precedent is, oh, you're sitting for the rest of the game, that's bad.
Well, let me follow that up, and then I'm going to argue with you. Let me first off, I'll back up your point, which is I saw a lot of the same people screaming, you got to pull Willie Cauley-Stein. He sucks. You have to know that he's having a bad night. These were the same people that were pissed that Bogdan Bogdanovic didn't get the ball at the end of the game. Bogdan Bogdanovic, I think, started 0 of 7 or 0 of 8.
Yeah.
He started out horrific, and then he caught fire. Then he finished with 19 points on 7 of 19 shooting. But I think he started, it was either 0 of 7, 0 of 8. So, to your point, Coach left Bogey in, it paid off. Coach left Willie in, it didn't pay off. However, the argument against what you said, though, is Bogdan Bogdanovic has a very consistent history of doing well and of overcoming, even when he's having bad nights. The problem here is that Willie Cauley-Stein has no consistent history of anything other than being inconsistent. And when he goes up against a Steven Adams or a Jusuf Nurkic or whomever, like we said last time we were on the air, I think Willie Cauley-Stein has an easier time defending and staying with Anthony Davis than he does Steven Adams or Jusuf Nurkic.
Yeah.
He does not do well against those big, bulky bodies.
He's shooting this season 53%.
We talking about Willie?
Yeah.
Which is average to below average for a center.
Right. But he was, 2 of 14 last night?
Correct.
Some shots are going to fall eventually.
Sure.
He just didn't have it last night. That happens. I don't get, the amount of the take that, the normal way for a basketball coach to operate is to just sit a player when he's not playing well. Maybe over a course of a week or 2 weeks, you give the guy a night off if he's just struggling really badly.
Sure.
But one night where it's a particularly bad game, Willie Cauley-Stein being in that game last night was not the reason the Kings lost.
I don't know if it was the reason the Kings lost, but at the same time, let's not fool ourselves into thinking that Willie Cauley-Stein has been really consistent this year, and last night was
sure.
an
No,
off game.
I totally. But if that's the case, if that's really the case, then he needs to be not playing as many minutes just overall. It's not an isolated incident then to last night.
The problem,
then we need to have a bigger discussion.
I think we do need to have a bigger discussion, and we'll take a break, and we'll pick this back up at 7 o'clock. I think the bigger discussion is why Willie Cauley-Stein is such a frustrating player, why I don't think he'll be back next year, and why I think the saddest thing of all is that it's one thing if a player is frustrating because he's not good. It's even worse when a player is frustrated because they can be so good if they wanted to be. And that's the issue I have with Willie Cauley-Stein. We'll take a break. We'll get into that more. It's a good conversation at 7:05. Coming up next, a little bit of football. NFL draft set. College football championship is set. Should it be Alabama-Clemson 4 or Alabama-Clemson 3? We'll spend way too much time on that. And the Raiders make a hire at GM, certainly a much better GM than Reggie McKenzie. I'm sure Raider fan is absolutely stoked about this one. I don't know, maybe they are. We'll take a break. We're back in a couple with that. Sports 1140 KHTK. If you're watching on the video stream brought to you by Jiffy Lube and KHTK.com, you already know what we're giving away today. Kyle's sneaky, so is Eunice. And we have 2 of them to give away today. We'll let you in on that.
We have 4 of them, but two sets.
Two pair.
Two per.
Two per.
As the 20th first century philosopher Nelly said.
Two per?
Two per.
Nelly.
Century.
Yeah, 20. Yeah.
Nellyville came out in 2000?
From the 209 on the text line, brought to you by Jiffy Lube.
I think Nellyville was 2000.
1140. He had the Band-Aid on his face, right?
Yes.
Nelly.
And a Vocal tank top.
Will the drive cover more MMA in 2019? The answer is if there's more MMA to cover that's worth covering, yeah. And we have a space between Kings games. They don't play again until Thursday when they take on Denver. More on that later. So there's too much to talk about today. We'll get to it tomorrow and Wednesday, but there's some fascinating UFC stuff over the weekend.
John Jones, bro.
John Jones and Gustafsson. And really I want to talk about Amanda Nunes and Chris Cyborg. And what was a fascinating conversation unraveling, in which Darren Ravel and Dana White I'll have Darren's tweet, Dana's response, which was typical, Dana being pissed about, and on this side, I'm kind of with Darren Ravel, weirdly enough, which I'm generally not with him on things, where he was talking about the lack of marketability of Amanda Nunes and how her beating Chris Cyborg was an absolute killer. That Amanda Nunes, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but he's saying Amanda Nunes, from a business standpoint, has been horrific, has been a disaster, has been just terrible for the UFC. And he's right.
Yeah.
Some of that's the UFC's fault. We'll get to that tomorrow on the program. A lot of stuff to get to very quick. Kyle, the NFL draft is now set. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did.
The San Francisco 49ers will be drafting second.
They will.
Very close to be drafting first, by the way.
Yeah, after all the hand-wringing over the Seahawks win, or the Niners win over the Seahawks, and all the panic in Santa Clara and from 49ers fans about their draft position, they're now going to pick second instead of first.
But had they lost to the Seahawks, they'd be picking first.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is it that? Really? God, you're the worst.
Hold on
dude.
a second. Hold on. Hold on. I'm reading. I got breaking news. I got right in the middle of the show. Breaking news. Let me.
In the middle of our show?
Middle of our show for a change. Hold on. And it's football news. Ian Rappaport announces your San Francisco 49ers have made a transaction. The San Francisco 49ers have traded the number 1 pick to the Arizona Cardinals in exchange for the number 2 pick and a regular season win over the Seahawks. We will break this down throughout the day. The 49ers moving down 1 spot in the draft, but they receive a feel-good win.
You know what my favorite part about this
over the Seahawks
is? I have actually looked at the 2019 NFL draft.
Have you?
And I know for a fact you haven't.
What do you mean, looked at the players?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I have not gone in. There's no way I've gone as far in depth as you have.
And I'm very confident that they're going to be fine picking second.
But you're thinking they're going to grab the kid from Kentucky, right?
Probably, unless Nick Bosa falls to number 2.
It's going to be Bosa, the kid from Kentucky. So I've looked a little bit. All right. Okay. Smarty pants guy.
Uh-huh.
So your thought process is, they're either going to get Bosa or this other kid. They'll be fine. You might be right. But there is no doubt that the number 1 pick has more value than the number 2 pick, as John Lynch really demonstrated in his first season as GM with the number 2 and number 3 pick in the Mitch Trubisky trade. There is value there. So then the question is,
Ryan Pace kind of did that, but
I understand. But that's a very recent example of the difference between high picks and value based on those high picks. Like if you're looking at comps for a house, comps for the draft picks. I'm not saying they shouldn't have beat the Seahawks, and we talked about it after the game. This is a good feel-good for them in the locker room. Now that we're in the offseason, I think it's a fair conversation to have.
it's not.
I mean, to not have that
if you can't hit, if you're going to swing and miss on the number 2 pick, you are probably going to swing and miss on the number 1 pick. Like if you just stink so bad that a top 2 player in the draft can't help you, that's on you.
You're probably right. I don't disagree with you. Totally.
Remember how mad you were about that Rockets win at the end of last year? Like, you could trade the number 7 pick and the Rockets win, blah, blah, blah.
I can't help luck. That is, you know what? I will remember that and use that in baseball in about 6 months when some guy bunts and it works. Be like, dude, look, remember you were worried about bunts?
It definitely works sometimes.
It works, but
I'll just say that.
But that doesn't mean it works. There's a difference between luck and mathematics. The Kings got lucky. They got lucky. I was right. They got lucky. I can't. It's like going in. That's like folding on pocket aces. Folding on pocket aces, and then some guy gets 3 of a kind. You're like, bro, look. Okay.
You made the right call in that situation.
Made the right call in that situation, but over time, that's a bad call. And you know this.
Okay.
Niners will pick 2nd. Your Oakland Raiders, Kyle, will pick 4th.
Love them.
The Raiders will pick 4th. The Raiders will also probably, this is projected, pick 24th and 28th. That 20. So the Cooper pick 24th. Dude, if you're an NFL team, just trade a pick to the Raiders and watch your stock soar. Both the Cowboys and Bears had phenomenal seasons, mainly after they traded their picks to the Raiders. Of course, Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper probably help with that, too. The Raiders hire Mike Mayock as their GM. We'll get into more of that tomorrow, or should I say Wednesday with Scott Bair, and also in 4 Down territory. I know we got a break, Kyle. I have this as Bama Clemson 4. Because this will be the 3rd time they have played in the national championship game, which is why many are saying Bama Clemson 3. But this is the 4th time in the playoff that they have played each other.
I think
they played in the semis.
I'm calling it 3 because I literally forgot they played in the semifinal last year.
Sure, but they did.
And this is for all the marbles. This is their 3rd matchup in the title game. Like, this is for all the – because if you're going to say, like, it's 4 because they met in the playoff that one time, you have to go back through history, find all the Alabama-Clemson matchups.
Those are regular season,
This is actually Alabama-Clemson.
These are all postseason.
87.
I'm talking about postseason. And the fact that they've met, what is it, their 4th time in 4 years? 4th time in 5 years?
4th time in 4 years.
Poor Dabo Swinney, poor guy. I mean, I'm really rooting for Clemson this year because I like seeing underdogs win. Clemson would be a juggernaut right now. They'd be a dynasty. Except you have Alabama.
Yeah.
So
they're about to have like 3 defensive linemen go in the first round.
Exactly.
So. Could be okay.
I think it's good for college football. I think Notre Dame was a joke. Good to see Central Florida, by the way, finally lose. So everyone can shut up about Central Florida.
Also, bad look for Georgia last night.
Yeah, very bad.
Really tough look.
Yeah. Oh, Georgia should have gotten in the playoffs.
Yeah, and then they just lay an egg. And I know you can't say that's what they would have done.
I learned this with Ohio State in the first year of the championship when they had they should not have been in the postseason.
No business being there.
Lost by 2 touchdowns to unranked Virginia Tech at home in Columbus, and then they end up sneaking in the 4 seed, and I saw them. Kyle, I was at the game when they beat Alabama. I was right there. I saw them with my own eyes, and I went,
well, I'm Dave. I was at the college football championship.
That is exactly what I said. We'll take a break when we come back. Have some numbers for you. We'll recap what Jusuf Nurkic did last night against the Kings. And we'll get into more of this at 7:35, Kyle, but a little bit of why we got to calm down. We just got to calm down. I'm going to give you some reasons as to why the Kings are fine. It's The Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK.